Welcome to this edition of Morgan the Asked For podcast. Ryan Morgan joined by Trevor Voss as always. Another week, 9 o'clock, Wednesday the 24th. Looking ahead, we're going to start NFL tonight, but looking ahead to this weekend, we have Ryder Cup. We have big-time college football games, and then the NFL continues to heat up. We're going to start see Ravens, Chiefs, 1-2 each. Are they good? Are they not? We're going to start separating the teams out this week in the NFL. Trev, we're going to start with you, start with NFL talk, and we'll go with you now.
Yeah, tons of sports going on right now, but we are going to start the NFL. Let's go back to the game that on Monday night, Lions, Ravens. I told you on our last episode this was a sneaky, important game for the Ravens. Well, they ended up losing kind of handily, even though the score looked a lot closer than it was. I think the most impressive thing is Detroit had two 95-plus yard drives. I thought I saw something that the Ravens haven't given up a 95-yard drive at home since 2001, and they gave up two in that game, not just one. So that was a little bit of a wake-up call for the Detroit Lions, and the Ravens have the issues on defense. Their offense is fine. My biggest question with the Ravens is this last year's Cincinnati Bengals team. Are they going to have this explosive offense like the Bengals did last year with a not even below average? They're bottom 2 to 3 in every statistical category on defense right now. So the Ravens got some problems. Can they get it turned around? When you think of Baltimore, you always think of great defenses. So you would think so, but a couple years, boy genius, as they call him, Mac Donald, left for the Seattle Seahawks. And ever since then, the defense hasn't quite been the same. So they've got the high-powered offense. I think Henry will be fine long-term, but they've got some issues going on there with the fumbles. And Detroit, ever since they got whacked by Green Bay in week 1, they've really bounced back, which is good for us because both of us have Detroit going the Super Bowl out of the NFC. So maybe my panic meter after week 1 was a little exaggerated, but that's the NFL. When you only get one game a week, you kind of have to overreact sometimes. I mean, that's the fun of it. So Detroit's back on track now. They've got the Browns at home. Browns have an excellent defense. I think they'll get the win there. But now it's 1-2 Ravens at 1-2 Chiefs. You couldn't have asked anybody after 4 weeks that would have thought either of these teams would have been 1-3 through the first 4 games, and one of them is going to be after Sunday.
And that fan base, and we're not as dialed into Baltimore, but here in Iowa, lots and lots of Chiefs fans. They will go nuts if they start 1-3.
But yeah, they will. And I think they play the Ravens on Sunday, and then I haven't looked at their schedule. I think maybe in 2 or 3 weeks after that, they play Detroit at home. Well, Detroit looks like, they can hang with anybody right now. So it's kind of a must-win for either team. The good news for both of them, though, is there's only 6 teams in the AFC with the winning record right now. So there's, the surprise teams. Obviously, the Colts are a surprise team. But I would say more of the surprises have been how bad some of the teams that we expect to be good are so far, the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Texans. So there's been more surprises on teams that had high expectations underperforming than teams overachieving, at least in my opinion, so far.
Yeah, just some of the, the 49ers are 3-0. None of them have been dominating. You could even say week 1 with Brock Purdy, he just kind of threw it up there and the tight end went and got it. A couple, with the backup, Mac Jones. Houston being 0-3 is just as big a surprise. And, speaking of Detroit, with the still alive with my one survivor pick, that's the early favorite to go. As you said, my strategy is different than your strategy with multiple. I just got to live. I'm just trying to live and just wait out. I need an upset. We need an upset doesn't involve me. I think there's still 91 teams left out of like 130. So overall, I would say that's quite a few left for 3 in a row because there hasn't been the huge upset yet. They've been close. There was a close one this last weekend, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, that survivor pool we're in with Taylor Howard's league is a lot of fun. We're both still alive. Taylor's, I think he might have all 5. I don't know. It's kind of tough when you go through it. I've been trying to look. I think Zach's still alive and some others. But, yeah, for you, it's one – you only have one entry. So You got to use maybe some of these good teams early. I've been using the good teams because I've talked about my strategy before is I'll figure out the medium, the middle of the pack teams as the season goes on. I'll take my chances. I'd rather be alive right now than taking a chance in the first few weeks and be out, right? I mean, it's easier to say it since I'm still 5 for 5, but I'll use the good teams early.
Yeah, I just think you have to live. And if you get to November 1st and you have to pick a 50-50 game because that's all you have left, it is what it is. But at least you're there, and there's probably not a ton of teams left. And if you happen to hit the coin flip correct, then it's just that many more.
Yeah, these next couple weeks, I'm gonna probably be picking some big favorites again, and then starting in week 6 and 7, I'm probably gonna have to start using some of those middle of the pack teams like the Steelers and the Vikings and the Cardinals. I haven't used any Chargers yet, so maybe I'll have them. But eventually, you're gonna have to use some toss-up games, some 50-50 ones if you survive long enough. So that's been fun. I'm kind of glad you and I are still in it. Zach's still in it because gives us something to kind of. And that college football pool you've been doing too, the pick'em pool. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but that's been fun because it keeps me interested on Friday nights when there's some games, and then all day Saturday, of course.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed about the NFL. Like even I was doing stuff Sunday, and I'm not the biggest NFL fan, but I'm just looking to see all the scores, and especially knowing the big favorites that were in a dogfight, like. And as long as it wasn't me, I had the Seahawks this last week, so they were up 35-0 right away. It was an easy Sunday, but a couple of those close ones, and bad beat, the old Rams and the Eagles. Now that wasn't a survivor pick game because that was one of your 50-50 games, but just your betting was not good. You either got really, really lucky or really, really bad luck.
Yeah, that one. If you bet the Eagles, you're ecstatic. If you bet the Rams, you want to kill someone. I mean, that was a tough one. And it was. I know I had this mentioned for later, but we can talk about it right now. It was the weekend of block kicks. I'm sitting and watching the Green Bay game. Jordan Love throws a pick, and all of a sudden, the Browns have a chance. And they block a kick, right, and then they kick a field goal to win. Next thing I know, the same thing is kind of going on in the Rams-Eagles game. Rams drive down, got a chance. It gets blocked in return. Feels like 30, 60 seconds later, I got the Jets and the Bucks on the screen, and the Jets block the kick, take it back.
Let's talk about that one. That was the most athletic play I've might have ever seen on a football field, and that is Will McDonald out of Iowa State.
Yeah, it was a hell of a play. Iowa State and Iowa guys have all had a good weekend in the NFL, so that was a hell of a play. But I mean, all three of those felt like they happened within like a 2-minute span. It was. I haven't seen anything like that in maybe forever watching the NFL with special teams play. So it was exciting. Obviously, the Bucks come back and win that one. That was a game I obviously was rooting for the Jets because there was a lot of people that had the Bucks. I stayed away from that one just because I had known the Bucks were down a bunch of offensive linemen in that one, so I was a little bit nervous. But that was a fun Sunday for sure for special teams, and that's the best. There's a lot of people that want to get rid of special teams or at least the kicking game. You can't get rid of the kicking game.
Nope.
A singular play, a kick return, punt return, or a field goal to win a game, there's not much more exciting in football, in my opinion, than those singular plays. And that's a good reminder of why we got to keep special teams in football.
Yep. And we'll get to that, but Iowa benefited on the kickoff return to open the game. And I think this might become more of a trend on blocking with the longer field goals, because they do have to drive it much more than a 42-yard field goal when it's 57 yards. And you're getting a lot more 57-yard attempts or 60 or even 65-yard attempts. They can't just pop it up in the air. It's more of a 7-iron, not a wedge.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy to it. And we're seeing in college and the NFL, we talked about this last week, kickers are hitting longer field goals than ever. Or at least their distance is a lot longer than it used to be. They may miss it left or right, but a lot of these kickers are lining up for long kicks. And anymore, it's like I'm not even worried about the distance. It's just the accuracy now. The 90s and early 2000s, you talk about a 55-yard field goal. I mean, there's a lot of kickers that didn't even attempt that, and coaches that wouldn't even attempt like a 55, 56-yarder. Now that's just common practice in football, unless you have a really kind of a weak-legged kicker. So I think I love special teams. They're exciting plays, and I hope the NFL doesn't do anything to get rid of special teams.
Yeah, it's I coached special teams there in Ottumwa the last few years, and it's fun. It's kind of fun designing different exotic, swinging gate, different fake punts that you see, and then you draw and you tweak a little bit if you see something. Or the other thing is if you see them lining up a certain way that you saw in film, you can get your guys right. So it's not like a surprise or anything. But yeah, special teams, you don't ever want to see them go away. I don't really even like the kickoff and kick return packages. And some of it is I don't understand it all. I don't. There's rules where they have to kick it and land it, and so it's target kicking instead of just booting it through the end zone. But we'll get used to it, and it's probably better overall because guy running down the field at 40 mile an hour and then getting trucked by a guy twice their size probably isn't super healthy.
Yeah, probably not healthy, but we are seeing some strategy on kicks, pooch kicks, trying to get in the landing zone, all the different returns. So there's definitely a lot of strategy now, especially NFL. So I'm all here for it. It makes the kicking game a lot better. And that's the thing that the NFL does. They're always tweaking their rules, trying to improve. They have no problem doing that. So the weekend of blocked kicks and special teams, that's for sure.
Yep. The Bears looked good, but it was against the Cowboys who don't look good. So yay for a win. Ben Johnson's first win as a head coach for the Bears. Caleb Johnson throws 4 touchdown passes. I guess they did what they needed to do and got the monkey off their back. Now let's see if they're any good or not. That's my feeling.
Yeah, the Cowboys defense is atrocious, but as you said, for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, they just needed to win. They needed some positive, something positive to go in their direction because that week 1 loss, they had the game won. They probably should have won versus the Vikings, and then they gave that away. All the offseason stories and news, the practice stuff was negative. They just needed something positive to happen, and it did. So they've got Vegas this week. They can win. They can win that game for sure. And I still don't think the Bears are going to be a playoff team. That's okay, though. As long as they start cutting down on penalties, Caleb starts to look a little bit better each week as the season goes on. That's really what you're looking for. It's more about year 2 and 3 with Ben Johnson. And this is the weeding out year, as we've called it, and trying to get improvements out of Caleb. So, yeah, I know Dallas's defense is terrible, but still an NFL team. And Matt Eberflus had something to prove going back to Chicago.
Yep.
And the Bears took clear advantage of that. So it's a good sign. I mean, you got to take it as a Bears fan at this point since you were 0-2.
Yeah, the biggest news is they are moving to Arlington Heights. Now, I still will believe it when I see it, but that's what they said they're doing.
Yeah, I haven't read all of that yet, but that's what I heard. I know we talked a little bit about it last week. So, the stadium's in a pretty cool spot downtown. They've done some renovations over the years, but we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Everyone's trying to poo-poo on the Bears now, but it feels like a lot of the same people were ragging on them all off season in the first 2 games. So the NFL's a long season, as we talked about early. You kind of have to overreact week to week because we're only getting 1 game, unlike other sports. So it's a good stepping stone for the Bears. Now let's see if they can keep it up because they've got some winnable games coming up on their schedule.
All right, and then a few injuries. Najee Harris being a big one, right? Chargers running back, Achilles, see it right away, right when he goes down. What other ones? CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb's going to be out a while. Tyler Booker, their first-round pick, he's going to be out. So, yeah, Green Bay is going to be a popular pick this week in the survivor pool, rightfully so. I think the Bluebirds are going to come out early in Dallas with Micah coming back, and Dallas basically depending on George Pickens, which good luck with that. I told you years ago that was my favorite receiver coming out of the draft. Well, there's a reason he fell. He had a lot of red flags. Those red flags are still present today. He's not a winning football player. He's going to have a big game for the Cowboys. And, other injuries, Mike Evans, James Conner. James Conner's out for the year. So, it's unfortunate. That's the worst part about football is the injuries. But there's some big ones coming up now. We talked about the quarterbacks last week. So, yeah, every week it's survival of the fittest. Last year the Lions got hit with the injury bug on defense right about this time. So we'll see what teams can survive it, what teams get the most. I mean, the 49ers, Bosa is probably the biggest one, actually, that we haven't even mentioned yet. So that's a blow for the 49ers for sure. I don't think the 49ers can get to the Super Bowl without him. I mean, they've got a lot of young players on defense that are starting or playing a little bit, rookies. And I just don't think that's going to be – they have an easy schedule, so I still believe they're going to get to the playoffs. But as far as being a Super Bowl contender, losing Bosa, I wouldn't be betting on them.
Yeah, I saw Bosa walking off the field and just gave the old thumbs down. He knew it right away.
Yeah, you could see him giving a thumbs down. He knew it. He's had an injury history, and I don't know what it is with the 49ers, but I don't know if it's the way Shanahan practices, their trainers, whatever it is it the field, the practice field? But they're the top 5 to 10 most injured team like 6 years running. So I don't know what it is, but it's unfortunate because, at their highest of highs, they're one of the best teams in the league. But McCaffrey doesn't quite look the same. Brock Purdy's hurt. Kittle's hurt. Bosa's out for the season. So I would expect injuries to continue for the 49ers.
Yeah, it's just, like you said, they just won't be able to hit their ceiling. It might not go all the way to their floor, but their ceiling's just not reachable with those injuries. No,
and they're 3-0. So kudos to them for winning the past 2 weeks with Mac Jones, backup quarterback. That's not easy to do. 2 games, 2-0 with the backup. You take that every time. I mean, you take that with your starter, obviously. Right. So they've done a good job. But it's going to be tough though, losing Bosa. And again, given the injury history of the Niners in that division too, the AFC West, I told you before the season, I thought that could be maybe the most competitive division. And so far it looks to be.
Yeah. It's, just as we talk with the NFL, it's just more and more with coaches / players / I think that becomes the injury bug is just and I talk about this and I can't remember who I was with, but I really think it has to do with their lack of practice. They don't practice and then they hit, especially a quarterback. It seems like quarterback gets hit, they're hurt. And maybe this is, they've collected bargain to have like no padded practices. They don't want them, which I understand. And the owners don't want them either because you don't want your $40 million receiver or quarterback getting hurt in practice, but they're getting hurt in a game 2 days later. I guess I don't know really what the difference is. At least you have the hope, I guess. But I really think the lack of practice does affect the lack of hitting. I should say lack of practice. They practice, but the lack of hitting until game day does come back. But you also hear about all the stories that on Monday and Tuesday, the guys can't move either. So, because they just, especially the running backs and the linemen that just big and powerful and get hit every single play.
Well, the last time they had the CBA, the players wanted more money and the owners didn't want to give up as much money. So that's where they met in the middle, but nobody asked the coaches what they wanted. It was players and owners. So the coaches would like to have those padded practices. You ask any one of them, they'd like to have more of those. So I do think there is something to that. And again, some of these guys, I almost wonder too, if it's overtraining. Again, I'm not an expert in this. You'd have to ask, but these guys are training year round, lifting, running. You almost wonder if you can overtrain in a way too much. So I think it's a mixture. It may be 10, 20 years before we find a more perfect science to it all with more data and finding out if guys are working out too much where they need a break to let their bodies heal long term rather than maybe just a couple days or a week off, in the off season. So the coaches would definitely like to have the practices, but the players wanted more money. And of course the owners said no. And the players said, well, how about, maybe a little bit more money, but less practices. And the owners were like, okay, that sounds fair. So the owners will take that. But I wouldn't be surprised in 10 or 20 years from now if we have some more clear answers and some evidence, because everything's being tracked now. The 90s and early 2000s, that stuff wasn't tracked as closely, but it definitely is today.
And here's the other thing that, is different today than even 10, 15 years ago. They're playing more games. We forget about that. Used to be a 14-game season. Then it was 16 for a long time. Now it's 17. Extra round of the playoffs, less buys. They play more. And that's the same thing in college. If you look at the amount of injuries, they used to play 11 games. Now they play 12. Some teams play in a conference championship game. There's 13. And now you got 2 or 3 games in the playoffs. You're playing 15, 16. You're playing an NFL regular season now.
Yeah,
But
if you go to the playoffs and make a run, you're playing the old NFL schedule. So, yeah, it's for the NFL, especially when they go to 18, they have to throw in a second bye week. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I'm here for it. There's enough games each weekend. I'd be okay with every team getting 2 byes because I'd rather see as many healthy players each Sunday as I could rather than not having that extra bye and, more guys being out on Sunday. I want to see the best players on the field. So I'm all for a second bye week coming in the NFL.
Yeah, I would be for it right now, even just with the 17 game schedule. One, it just makes the season longer, which is okay. So there's another week of the season. Great. We all love football. But then, yeah, you want your best players. And if you're going to string it out, let's string it out, but a little bit less wear and tear.
Yeah, this thing is going to get season's going to get extended. I mean, by the time it's all said and done here in a few years, Super Bowl could be played at the end of February. Then you get into March, you basically have a month off, and then you got the combine and the draft starting right up in free agency. So we've talked about the NFL schedule hundreds of times on here. They own the calendar almost year round now at this point, minus a couple months in the summer.
Yeah, it's craziness. All right, let's transition to your top 10 that you're going to do every 3 weeks. So after, obviously everybody's 3 games in and 6, 9, and we'll get this throughout the season. Let's go 10-1, Trev, and then I'll kind of let you go unless I hear it and have some serious feelings.
All right, let's start at number 10. This is an undefeated team. So some people may have them higher, but because of the injuries that we talked about, I'm going to put the 49ers at number 10. I think the loss of Bosa, that's hurt. If you look at the teams they played, the games have all been close. Now they've had a backup quarterback. So I am going to give the 49ers the benefit of the doubt and put them in the top 10 over Washington. Washington was my first team out. Number 9, this is going to be the first controversial ranking, probably, because this is the team the 49ers beat week 1. I'm going to put Seattle at number 9. I think Seattle's hitting their stride. They probably have the most underrated defense and coach in the league and overall roster. I think the Seahawks are about to go on a little bit of a run here. Again, I picked them to win the division, my surprise team in the NFL this year. So I've got to stick with that. I know the 49ers beat them week 1, so I'm sure people aren't going to be happy with me having the Seahawks over the 49ers. But given the injuries, the way the Seahawks looked, I think they're going to start hitting their stride. So I've got Seattle number 9, controversially over 49ers who beat them in week 1.
But since week 1, the 49ers have several key pieces, Bosa, Purdy, Kittle not playing. So I do think it is justified a little bit.
A little. I'll get some hate for that, which is fine. Number 8, this is a team that's got some injuries coming up now, but again, they're undefeated. I'm going to go with the Bucks. All their games have been close. That's a little bit of a dangerous way to live in the NFL. That usually evens out. Maybe not this season, but over the course of time. So I'm going to put the Bucks at 8. I'd like to have them rated a little bit higher, but Evans is out, Godwin's out. A lot of offensive linemen are hurt. They've got the Eagles this week. So the Bucks at 8. Number 7 should maybe have this team a little bit higher. The 3-0 Colts, who are the surprise team of the league.
Yep.
Danny Dimes playing at an MVP level. So the thing with the Colts, I mean, I can understand people having them ranked higher, but I got to see another 3 weeks out of them. I've seen way more bad games in Daniel Jones's career than a good 3-game stretch. So I talked about last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I think we all underrated their overall roster because we were just paying attention to the quarterback battle that they were having. They do have a good roster, so I probably should have the Colts higher, but I got to see 3 more weeks out of Daniel Jones.
Yeah, we've him tripping over the turf as a running 37 yards wide open will never be lived down in his household, I'm sure.
No, and he could have easily scored on that play. So yeah, listen, I was a big Daniel Jones fan coming out, you know that. So
yep.
I'd like to have them higher, but I got to see 3 more weeks. It's burned into my brain how many bad games he's had. So I got to see a little bit more out of them. Number 6, the team that probably should have won on Sunday, the Rams. I told you this was going to be my biggest miss of any team if Stafford stays healthy this season. So far he has. They look really good. Like I said, they probably should have beat the Eagles, drove down, had a field goal to win it, but they couldn't block the Eagles' defensive line. So as long as Stafford stays healthy, the Rams are a real contender in the NFC, and they have to be kicking themselves. They know they can beat the Eagles. They just haven't done it yet the past couple times they played, going back to the playoffs last year and then, of course, this game. So the Rams at 6. Move on to number 5. I'd like to put them higher because this is my pick out of the NFC and yours to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to put the Lions there. Again, I don't want to overreact too much to a primetime game against a defense that is as bad as any in the NFL right now, in the Ravens. Week before, the Bears, another bad defense. So I don't want to overreact too much with the Lions, but they definitely have bounced back, and they do look like they're going to be a threat there at the end of the season in the NFC. So Lions at number 5.
Yeah, I can't argue that. They do have the loss, and it was the Packers put it to them, and then the Bears they wanted to show the Bears. One, they were upset about the week against the Packers, and then 2, they wanted to show their old coach. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, a revenge game there, but it's still, I mean, winning on the road at Baltimore is no easy task. We've seen what Lamar's record is versus NFC teams, so maybe I should have them ranked better. In 3 weeks, they might be. One spot ahead of them at number 4 is the team that beat them in week 1 is the Packers. I know Green Bay lost on the road at the Browns, tough loss, but Green Bay's defense is elite. So I think they're going to put on Dallas this coming Sunday. The Packers are going to live and die with Jordan Love, though. His throwing motion, the wrist, the way he moves, it's got a lot of Aaron Rodgers, but his decision-making is more Brett Favre. He'll put the ball in harm's way.
That's the bad combo, I think.
Yeah, maybe he'll be in the middle somehow when it's all said and done. But the Packers have a really good roster. They've got some injuries. Obviously, if Reed going down, Kraft's a little bit banged up. But I have to give the Packers a little bit of benefit of the doubt over the Lions because they beat him just a few weeks ago, even though I'm contradicting myself having Seattle over the 49ers. But I don't want to overact too much with the Packers losing at the Browns. That's a great defense there. Packers number 4. And as we get in the top 3, I'm going to go Chargers number 3.
Okay.
I told you that would probably be your biggest miss in the AFC.
So far it is.
So far they look good. Now they did lose Najee Harris. We'll see if Hampton can start to emerge, their rookie running back out of North Carolina that they took in the first round. But the receiving core is lighting it up. Ladd, Quentin Johnson is no longer a bust. And then bringing back Allen, they have to be really glad that they made that decision. So they're 3-0 in their division. I think the last team to start 3-0 with 3 divisional wins was the Rex Grossman Bears that went to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So we know Harbaugh's a great coach. You and I are as high on Herbert as anybody. And so I got to give the Chargers the number 3 spot. And then the final 2, I'm going to put the Bills at number 2. I'm a little bit worried about the back end of their defense. Their offense can score with anybody. Josh Allen, A-plus game, is going to beat anybody in the league, in my opinion. But they're back into their defense, a little bit of a worry. Their first-round pick, Harris, should be coming back here in a couple weeks, so they'll get a little bit of help at corner. And again, a lot of these top teams, I think after this coming week, after week 4 or 5, there's going to be some trade talk coming up for all the contenders. They're going to be looking to make some moves because, again, with the Chiefs looking down and now with the Ravens looking down, Chargers and Bills got to take advantage while they can. And then, of course, number 1, and it's close. This isn't a runaway number 1. I got to give the Eagles a respect. Their offense has looked a little bit off. Barkley went from 5.8 yards a carry last year to so far this year he's down to 3.3. A lot of wear and tear that he had last year, given all the touches. That's a little bit of concern. I don't know if the Eagles have the depth that they had last year. That's to be determined. So the Eagles are number 1, but not a runaway number 1.
I can't fault you for that. You could make the argument with the Bills. I mean, you could flip those real easy. But Philadelphia, with the wins over the teams that we think they are, the Rams are really good as long as Stafford stays healthy. The Chiefs are better than 1 and 2. I think we both agree to that. Now,
Mhm.
their schedule's really hard. They're banged up. They're old. They are the team that's played an extra season and a half in the last 6 years because they play 3 playoff games every year. It's adding up. They did lose some pieces just depth wise, like every team did. And with them being down, but still, they're probably they're a top 10 team. They're a playoff team. So with those wins, I think Philadelphia probably does have the nod there. So I agree with you.
Yeah, and I expect the Chiefs or the Ravens, possibly both, 3 weeks from now to be in my top 10. But with the Ravens, I mean, that defense has got to get fixed. They can't win a Super Bowl with a bottom 2 or 3 defense. That just isn't going to happen. They got to be closer to at least 20th, give or take. And the Chiefs, of course, it's offense. They got to find a running game. We've talked about it. Maybe trading for Breece Hall, Kamara, H out of Miami. They've got to get a running game because we know they're getting the receivers back here eventually. Again, as I said last week, the tight ends are the tight ends. They're probably fine there with their depth. So Chiefs, it's offense. Ravens, it's defense. If you could combine both those teams together, they'd be in a really good spot.
Yeah.
But 3 weeks from now, I expect at least one, if not both of those, to be in my top 10 and be there at the end of the year. But through 3 weeks, I got to just trust what my eyes are telling me. So Eagles 1, Bills 2. If the Bills and Eagles met in the Super Bowl, which is, that's likely to happen. If Josh Allen plays an A-plus game, I don't know if there's a team that can stop him. But if Josh Allen has a B-level game, I would take the Eagles to win that one.
Yeah. And if Josh Allen has the ball last, they win, even if he doesn't have a great game. If he has the ball going down to score, he's going to give him one heck of a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, and I mean, Jalen Hurts is even kind of entering that aspect now. You give those guys the ball with a minute, 90 seconds, hell, even like 35 to 40 seconds. If they got a timeout and they just need a field goal or whatever the case is, it's you're holding your breath if you're the other team.
Yep. I cannot argue with you there. We got 24 people watching us live. That's good. Thank you for those of you that are watching. Most of them are on Twitter or X as it is now. It's probably always going to be Twitter in my world, but I'm old. We're going to transition to college, where the big story is not games, not what happened, not what's going to happen in a big, big week of college football. But Tuesday, Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State, got fired after 21 years as a head coach, 25 straight years coaching there. And then going back to the late 80s, he was a quarterback for both Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. He is Oklahoma State football. He will get in their Ring of Honor or Hall of Fame or however they do it as a coach. Probably might already be as a player. I don't know that, but he will as a coach as well. And then he will most likely have a statue. He is Bill Snyder. He is Kirk Ferentz just for Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is second fiddle. They're a lot like Iowa State, the big school, Oklahoma, only Oklahoma is a much step ahead of Iowa in the national. They are a blue blood in college football, especially going back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where they had more national titles than anybody with a couple different head coaches there. But T. Boone Pickens and Mike Gundy in the last 20 years, and you can credit maybe Iowa State for taking a national championship shot away from them in 2011. That's when they were at the top of the top, ranked number 2, I believe, at the time when Jared Barnett and Jeff Woody took them out on a Friday night in Ames. Front row seats there that night.
Gundy had a ton of 8 to 10 win seasons. I think he had a really good bowl record too as a head coach. I just looked while you were talking. He's only 58, so he's going to get another head coaching job somewhere if he wants it. Maybe at Virginia Tech or Wisconsin, or some of these jobs are going to be coming open. Virginia Tech is obviously open right now, so he's young enough. He's going to get another job. And then, I heard some rumors. Obviously, they asked him to take a pay cut coming in the season. Supposedly that money was supposed to go to NIL. Sounds like maybe it didn't. And that's where some of his frustrations were coming from, because I think just a couple of years ago, that game against Baylor, they were a touchdown away from going to the playoff, weren't they?
They were 1 yard. They got stopped at the 1 yard line. I believe it was with Ollie Gordon as their running back. They were upset by Baylor, and I think Baylor went to the Sugar Bowl and got beat by Alabama by a lot or something. But yeah, it was 2004, 15 months ago, 16 months ago, they were playing for a Big 12 championship, and he is fired. And since then, since that game, he's only won 2 games. 1 game against a Power 5 team.
Yeah,
has not won a Big 12 game.
Yeah, they're off to a rough start, and you ideally you'd like to see him get it finished out the season, but it sounds like there's some real rifts between him, the current AD, and there's probably a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I know Josh Pate was talking about it. It'd be awesome to get him on any show, Big Noon, College Game Day, any of them for the rest of this season, and then maybe he takes a head coaching job later. But it'd be good to get him on TV, and because he's going to say whatever he wants because there's no consequences right now for him, and it'd be good to get his side of the story too.
He needs to get on one of those shows or an ESPN on set, just period, for a job. I think he could do that for the rest of his career, that he would want, not even have to get back in coaching. I think he would be great because he would say it like it is, and he doesn't really care. He's kind of got that Southern, I don't care, with the bullet and everything else like that. He's a character. He would be on that same line. He would be the Lee Corso type, where he would make it entertaining. He would, kind of tell it as it is, much, on the same vein, only he has the coaching background of McAfee and Portnoy getting on shows like that. He would be very, very good. And I think that's probably what he should do and will do. I don't know if he will coach again, because one of the reasons it did not work at Oklahoma State was he was resistant, much like Dabo Swinney is, to the transfer portal and the NIL. He was slow to it. He got behind. And once you got behind, it's really, really hard to catch up. And they don't have – I was listening to some people talk today. Can't remember which show it was, that said T. Boone Pickens' money isn't coming because their heirs don't care about Oklahoma State athletics like T. Boone did. So it's just not coming. It's not an option. So their open checkbook that has been there for 25 years under Mike Gundy is no longer there. The really weird thing is that they lost on Friday night to Tulsa, and they waited all the way till Tuesday, which included a Friday or a Monday press conference and everything. So in my world and other people's world that I've seen on Twitter and stuff, is the AD had to make some phone calls and secure the $15 million because it wasn't a unanimous vote, and they didn't have the money. And that's because Dabo Swinney's not going to get fired because of money. Kalen DeBoer's not going to get fired because of money. I don't think either one of those schools can do Texas A&M and just write a $75 million check or whatever it is for those schools. There is less money in college sports right now with having to pay the players. It's still a lot, and it's still almost infinite, but it's just not infinite like it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it makes it tougher for the colleges. And as we spoke about before, hopefully it gets these colleges to stop giving out 7, 8, 10-year contracts. Hopefully it's 4 years at a time or 5 at most. So, yeah, he probably had to secure the money to get that approved. It's a little bit weird to wait till Tuesday. You almost wonder if there was some fighting going on over the weekend, which there probably was. That's probably been going on for a while, it sounds like. But still, legendary career. As I said, a bunch of 8 to 10 win seasons that he had. He overachieved at Oklahoma State, given their second fiddle in Oklahoma, and that's not a blue blood program. So it was a hell of a job. And like in a lot of cases, not everybody gets to leave like Joe Pa or John Elway, kind of at the heights. Joe Pa, he didn't leave at the heights because of the scandal, but he stuck around way longer than he should have. But, a lot of times this is how it ends. Unfortunately, not on his terms. It would have been nice to see him go out with a 9 or 10 win season, a good bowl win, and call it a career. But a lot of times in sports for coaches and players, this is just the way it goes.
Yeah, most of the time you're asked to leave, not leave on your own terms. Let's start with talking about the 2 big games Saturday. There are big games all over. Iowa's in one, Iowa State's in one for different reasons. But the 2 big ones are Oregon travels to Penn State, and then Alabama travels to Georgia, right? I'm pretty sure. Because
Correct.
last year it was in Alabama. When Georgia had the big lead, and then Alabama coming back. No, Alabama had the big lead, right?
Yep. Alabama ended up winning.
Yeah.
But Georgia made it.
And then Georgia in the second half made it real interesting. Let's do Oregon and Penn State first. This will be interesting to see in our college football pick'em that we talked about a little bit earlier. Who picks who? Because I think this is really a toss-up game. Oregon's traveling to the East. That does matter. I don't care what anybody says. That matters. They both are really, really good. They're both a top 5 team. I truly believe that. They both have top 5 rosters. They are good. So whoever wins this game, just like last year in the Oregon-Ohio State regular season game, it just gave them the more likely scenario to get to the championship game. And then obviously that didn't end up mattering at all because Ohio State didn't get there and won the national championship. But I think that's really all this does. I'm going to say Oregon wins in a 3-point game.
Yeah, this is a game I'm looking most forward to this weekend. I've seen Alabama and Georgia dozens of times. Like, yep. I've seen that game. This is new, fresh. It's Oregon going to Penn State. Penn State's got the remodeled stadium. I can't wait to see that under the lights. I've been to a game there before when Iowa played and Claiborne had the blocked punt. It's one of the best atmospheres in all of college football. So I can't wait to see that one. That's the one I'm going to be paying attention to on my main TV. And it's not a must win for Penn State because they could lose and still make the playoffs. Yep. But for James Franklin, you're at home. You've got the experienced quarterback. Oregon's younger than Penn State. Penn State's got a bunch of players that are going to be selected in the top 100 in next year's draft. Like, you kind of got to win this one. And my pick is going to be Penn State. I think they're finally going to get it done here. James Franklin's got to. I think he's 4-20 versus ranked teams or something like that at Penn State, and a couple were against Boise State, and I believe SMU were like 2 of them. So it's close to those numbers anyway. So I'm going to take Penn State, but I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see the atmosphere. Is game day going to that one? I haven't been paying attention to game day this week.
I doubt it because it's the Big Ten. Game day usually doesn't go to the Big Ten.
No, I know. Let me look it up.
I would assume they're in Athens at Georgia, Alabama.
You're probably right because obviously given the ESPN and the SEC ties, I forgot to look where they were going. That would make more sense. I thought I saw something that they were going to Penn State.
I would bet the same amount of money that Big Noon Kickoff is in Happy Valley, though.
No, they're in Champaign. They're in Champaign.
Why?
For USC because it's a Big Noon Kickoff. Remember Penn State, Oregon's at night. So Big Noon typically goes to.
So they have to go to where the noon game is? I mean, I know.
I don't know if they technically have to, but I think most of the time they do. So, they're going to be.
You could have had all my money, Trev.
Yeah, no, they're in Champaign. So, best of luck to them. I mean, that's a decent game, but it's not Oregon.
Just let's talk 1 minute on that game. Who wins that game? I have a sneaky feeling Illinois is going to be right there. I think I might pick USC, but it's going to be a dogfight.
I'll take USC. I think they're pretty underrated. It feels like Lincoln Riley might have this USC team on track finally. So I'd go USC, but it's on the road. Illinois got embarrassed, obviously, versus Indiana. They're going to be looking for some payback. But my pick would be USC, though.
Okay. All right, back to Penn State, Oregon. White out, 100,000 people, new stadium. Oregon doesn't ever come there. I'd probably lose all my money, but I'm assuming that's the first time Oregon's ever played at Penn State.
I would assume so, and I think I just saw they are going. Game day is going to Penn State.
I would have lost all my money. I had them switched.
So, no, it makes sense because you would think they'd go to the SEC game, but given how big this is, next stop, Happy Valley. So game day will at least be at Penn State. Someone should be there. So good for game day on that one. But I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a fun game. James Franklin, he improved last year, advancing into playoffs, putting up a good fight versus Notre Dame. But this is kind of another get the monkey off your back type of game. And being at home, having the more experienced team and quarterback, the whiteout, Penn State needs to win this one.
All right, and then Georgia, Alabama. We've seen it in the last 10 years, 10 times, if not actually more, with the championship games and even bowl games, championship games. Alabama, are they better? Georgia got Tennessee last time. I'm assuming that was last time they were on the field. I don't remember seeing them play last week. Maybe they did, but it might have been against whoever. I'm going to go Georgia, but it's closer than people think.
Yeah, I'm going to go Georgia too. Georgia's got the longest home winning streak in the nation ahead of Washington. Kalen DeBoer and Alabama have been really bad on the road under the Kalen DeBoer term so far. So give me Georgia. They've got the better coach, the more proven coach. I'd like to see Alabama win, but Alabama hasn't proven anything to me yet since DeBoer's been there. So Georgia, I was rooting for them to lose at Tennessee a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
I think I was the only one in our pick'em pool to pick Tennessee, and I thought I may have had that toward the end. And then, of course, Tennessee kind of fumbles it. Georgia wins it, which is not surprising. That's what Georgia does. The better coach team. So I'm going to go Georgia. I don't know if it's close either. Alabama, all the penalties that they have under this new regime, not playing good on the road. It's a big spot for them. If they can, if they keep it within 3 and they don't have a ton of penalties and they show some fight, I'll be impressed, even if they lose.
Yeah. All right, now let's go to the Iowa State games. Let's start with Iowa. This is their chance. They did get beat by Iowa State, but a very close one, last 2-minute field goal on the road, rivalry game. It happens. How good are you? Last week was if you're good or not good. I think you proved you were good. Now we're going to see how good. Indiana is the darling of the night. The princess, everything. Scored 63 points against top 10 Illinois. Well, maybe Illinois is not as good as we think they are. I don't think Indiana is as good as everybody thinks they are. Heard some people say they're a top 5 team in the country. Don't believe that in a heartbeat. They're good, but they will run it up on you if they can. And once the snowball goes, they're really good at doing that. They beat Indiana State like 73-0, 63-10 against Illinois. Well, this isn't Iowa doesn't give up 63 points except for Ohio State. This is Indiana. Indiana wins the football game, but it's really, really close. I think this game is really fun to watch.
Yeah, Indiana's favored by 7.5, and the over-under is 47. So that's a pretty big spread for that low of a total. And as I text you, for Iowa, the good news is Iowa's got the extra day of rest, even though they had to travel back on Friday. The games at Kinnick, Indiana played Saturday night. So there's a little bit of a time advantage for Iowa. And again, the emotional effect of it too, where Indiana just blew out Illinois. Is this maybe sort of a trap spot for them going on the road? Kinnick's going to be a tough place to play. I wish it was a night game, but it's an afternoon one. And for Iowa, just keep it within a score going into the fourth.
Yep.
Because then Iowa will do what they do. A blocked kick, a safety, a big sack, fumble return, something like that. But for Iowa's defense, you can give up a big play. You can survive that. But I think if Iowa gives up 2 big plays or more, obviously Indiana's going to win. So for Iowa, run the ball, keep Indiana's offense off the field, get Weegan involved. I mean, he had a few touches last week. I was happy about that. They even lined him up in the backfield, like I mentioned. It was a loss, but I was still happy to see it. He had some catches. Again, I think he needs to touch the ball 3 times minimum, closer to 4 or 5. But for Iowa, we know what Iowa's recipe is. Keep it within the score in the fourth. Iowa's going to have a good chance.
They are going to have to score some points like they did last week, though. They cannot win this game 17-13. I don't think that's if it ends up that way, it was played to perfection by Iowa. That is what they want. But I think realistically they've got to win this 30-27.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see if Indiana can pop off like that again back-to-back weeks. But
they're not getting 60, but I'm going to give them about half.
Yeah, I mean, the over-under, again, is 47. So that would be a little surprising.
That's higher than they think it will be.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful. I had Iowa winning this game before the season started. Again, Cignetti said all the right stuff, though, about Iowa. I thought he might say something stupid this week in a press game. I haven't seen that. To give Iowa a little bit extra motivation. So Cignetti, maybe he is the real deal. I was kind of curious if last year's Indiana team was just kind of a one-hit wonder. So far, I mean, it's early, but Indiana looks like the real deal. I mean, it looks like them. Obviously, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, but Indiana's got a real chance to get back to the playoffs again. And this is going to be a big stepping stone for them.
Let's say Iowa wins this football game. What does that say about Iowa? Is it how good are they? Is it just they are becoming a prototypical Kirk Ferentz team that just keeps getting better and better and better? And especially if Gronkowski has a great game, I think it's just going to come back to not practicing in the spring and coming off an injury, just wasn't quite right or ready the first couple weeks.
Yeah, if they can pull this upset, then obviously I think 9-3 is on the board. Maybe a 10-2 is still going to be tough because you've got Oregon and Penn State. But if they can beat Indiana at home, then I definitely think they can maybe sneak a win versus Penn State or Oregon, split with that. Maybe you catch one of those two teams sleeping, depending what happens. But yeah, it's a big game. Gronowski, he's getting better. He's a legit threat on the ground. As I've been saying for years, if we can't on offense, if we just can't complete the forward pass, I'd at least like a quarterback that can run. Well, he can do that. I mean, he's a physical runner and he can move a little bit. So, yeah, give me a quarterback that can pick up a few first downs with his legs, score some rushing touchdowns. I think it's been a big weakness for Iowa. Again, if you're going to throw under 100 yards a game, you may as well have a mobile quarterback that can run around and pick up some first downs. So he's the type of guy that can do it.
Yeah. So you've got Iowa, I've got Indiana, but I do think it's one heck of a football game. I do not think it's anything like what happened last week. Now, let's do just a real quick. Now, let's say they beat Iowa like they did Illinois. Mm-hmm. I might change my tune. I might say they are a top 5 team. If they could score 60 again, or I would say even more than 50 on the Iowa defense in Kinnick Stadium at night.
I would say if they score 34 plus at Kinnick, then I would definitely put them as a real deal team, which they might already be. But if they get to 34 or higher in Kinnick, we know Kirk Ferentz, the style they like to play. If they get to 34 or more, I mean, it looks like the Big Ten may have 4 teams again going into the playoff.
And, as a Big 12 fan, I have no problem with them getting 4 teams. I just don't want the 4 automatics. I mean, honestly, they could have, if another team was right there, every conference deserves that. I mean, like the SEC, if it works itself out where everybody's 10-2 and there's 5 of them, I don't have a problem with 5 teams getting in. It's hard to say they deserve 4 automatically. And they probably do, but it's just hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, they probably do. 9 years out of 10, they probably deserve 4 each or whatever they expand it to and what the math comes out to be. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, it's a little bit scary given what Indiana did last week, but given Iowa's history under Kirk Ferentz at home, I would expect it to be, hopefully at most like a 10-point ball game.
Yep. All right, let's go. Iowa State, they play Saturday night. They have their own version of the whiteout. It will not be quite like Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. One, it's only about 2/3 of the size. That's probably the biggest reason. And two, Iowa State's getting new to this whiteout. I think there was one last year, one this year. I'm assuming they're going to try to get one each year here. Hosting in a much bigger game today than when we thought before the season started. Arizona is 3-0. One of the big things, though, this is their first game on the road. They've been at home for all 3 games. They're coming off a bye. Iowa State's coming off a bye. They are 4-0 with 2 wins over Power 4 teams. Kansas State win does not look near as good as it did before the season. Iowa win is still to be determined. This week we'll have a long ways to go to saying what it really is. But we do know Iowa, they are not Kansas State. They are not fluttering in the wind. Iowa's a much better football team than Kansas State, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think one of Arizona's 3 wins is Kansas State as well.
Yep.
So they both have
Yeah.
the Kansas State win. I think Arizona's given up like 8.6 points per game. But again, it's early. Given that they're both on the off the bye week, I mean, I'm going to pick Iowa State to win this one. I don't know much about Arizona other than that. That was Arizona was a team I just really wasn't paying much attention to coming into the season.
Well, the backstory for Arizona is this is the second year of their coach, came from San Jose State. Kind of inherited a team that was most of the team left and went with Jed Fitch to Washington. So the ones that did stay, now he had a top 10 draft pick at receiver, and Fafita is a really good quarterback, and he's back again this year. But it just didn't gel, and he kind of cleaned house, got new defensive coordinators, got a bunch of new players, and it's much better. This is his team. That's kind of what I've interpreted out of this. Their defense is different. It's not what anybody else plays. They just go super, super fast and make plays. And they've been super disruptive. Like you just said, I think, the stats are incredible of just what they are doing. But they haven't played a team quite like Iowa State. It is night game. It's in Jack Trice, and it's much better than it used to be. It will be rocking. I will not be there. I will be in Vermont. I leave for Vermont Saturday morning. And so I will be watching on YouTube TV on my phone, whatever I can, the Ryder Cup. We're going to talk about that next, and all these football games. I guess we have a house on a lake and stuff there is what my brother rented for us. So hopefully it has several TVs and stuff for at least good Wi-Fi access so I can have the games tuned in a little bit.
You're going to be on that East Coast time. That'll be a little bit different for you.
Yeah, Iowa State starts at 7:00. And that's the other thing. Why would TV put Oregon and Penn State and Georgia, Alabama against an Iowa State night game? What are they thinking?
Well, here's the one thing I would say about the Oregon, Penn State, and the Georgia, Alabama. I wish they would put at least a 30 or 45-minute
There is I think there's 30. I think the Alabama game starts at 6:30.
Okay, because for some reason I thought they both started.
I thought I saw that.
According to Yahoo app, they both start at the same time, but that could be wrong. So that I always use the Yahoo app when I'm looking at stuff, but I at least like a 30 or 45-minute kind of difference. That way, for sure, you can watch the fourth quarter of each game, kind of be locked in. But for Iowa State, I would expect them to get the win. Jack Trice will be rocking, as you talked about. I had Iowa State versus Arizona State, the Big 12 championship. We did our preview. Looks like it's going to be Texas Tech for sure.
Right.
Then I think Iowa State's in that number 2 spot. I feel pretty comfortable with that. Maybe Utah in third from what I've seen. But this will obviously be a big win to get to 5-0 for Iowa State and to go 2-0 in the Big 12 conference.
Yeah, they need it to get to 2-0 in the conference. 5, obviously, they're undefeated on the season. You want that to last as long as you can. The way we talked about this, I think we all agreed that at TCU was going to be really, really hard. And I agree with that. They might be right behind Iowa State in power rankings, which we probably should do that again. Excuse me. I know my voice is kind of scratchy tonight, but we should probably do that again, the power rankings for the Big 12 and Big 10. But the Colorado game doesn't look as hard as we maybe thought it would. Oklahoma State's going to be in shambles by the end of the year. All their team could transfer tomorrow, and there's nothing they can do about it. So that doesn't look as good. Kansas looks pretty good. That's going to be a tough game, but that one is in Jack Trice Stadium. Arizona State's not as bad as they looked against Mississippi State. They may not get to the Big 12 title game, but they're going to impact who does because they're good enough to beat any team at any time. And unfortunately, I do think they're going to have a loss or two and not get there, but they could come into Jack Trice and beat Iowa State, and it would not shock me.
Yeah, Levitt and Tyson there for Arizona State. Yep. They're going to be NFL players, depending on where they're drafted. Tyson's probably going to be a first-round receiver, at least as of right now. So they're a little bit down. Again, still a good team. I expect them to probably go like an 8-4, at least something like that. Be in the top 5 of the Big 12 conference when it's all said and done. But yeah, Arizona maybe a little bit better than what we thought coming into the season. But as you mentioned, I'm going to have to pick Iowa State at night at Jack Trice against a team that isn't on the same level of longevity that Campbell and Iowa State are.
Yeah, I agree. I think Iowa State covers. I think it's 6 or 7, depending on where you look. It's right in that range. Worried Iowa State's kicker. We finally had a kicker that you could kind of count on. Hurt. That's what happens when we're Iowa State. Our second guy got hurt the first game of the year, I guess, and hasn't kicked since. So we're on a walk-on kicker from North Scott, who was also their quarterback. So he's a good athlete. But we're on a walk-on kicker in going into one of the biggest seasons in Iowa State history. So
yeah, that could be a big factor. I mean, if Arizona holds Iowa State to field goal attempts early and he misses one or two, that could really be a ball game at the end. Even if you score a touchdown, if you're Iowa State, or if he misses an extra point or two, do you start going for 2? So I did see something that the kicker was hurt. I'm glad you brought that up because I'd forgot that could be a big difference in this one. So hopefully,
and even if it doesn't for this one, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, even when he comes back, he's probably not going to be full go, right? 63-yarder right out of the chutes. And I would guess there's no one else on the roster that can even kick at 63 yards. So he might be your guy, but it might be 45 and in. So you still have the same problems you have right now, where it's probably, I don't know if I'd throw this kicker out anything longer than 40. I'd rather it be 30 to 35 every time or in.
Yeah, and that changes what you do on offense too. Yep. When you cross the halfway point of the field, does Campbell say, "Hey, you've got 4 downs to work with here"?
Yep.
I think you do 3rd and 5, and then if it's 3rd and 5, then you can run a run play. If you have a 4th and 1 or 2, we're going for it.
Yeah, and it's not all bad with your quarterback. He makes good decisions. He knows how to just make a play.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a long-term problem for Iowa State, given how good of a start that they are after the season. Hopefully it's kind of just a 1-game deal, kicker get back healthy. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because the kicking game.
I don't think it is. I think it's for several weeks.
Okay, well then that's potentially a big issue for Iowa State. If these backup kickers can't do a good job, you might have to hold tryouts and get McAfee there and start getting some of the student body to come in and do.
So here's the thing: I heard Williams and Bloom. I think that's one was on Cyclone Fanatic, but they're Cyclone Fanatic, Iowa everywhere. They cannot add people with these roster limits and everything now that they passed. They can't add players, so they can't go to the soccer field and go get one.
I didn't know
we should. I mean, go get the Oklahoma State kicker. He's free. Hey, here, we'll give you $50,000 this year. Come here.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they are. They probably got to have a backup to the 3rd string guy, someone that maybe kicked in high school practicing.
So they talked about they kind of had kicking tryouts for the people who are on the team because he was hurt going into the last game and they knew he wasn't going to kick. And so your emergency kicker, you don't travel with a whole bunch of kickers because you are limited, which I think that's dumb as well. We're spending all this money. What's another 25 guys going on a trip? That's a different discussion, but you can't take everybody. So I think one of the walk-on linemen actually won the kicking contest for like at least extra points.
Hey, I'm here for it. If we got a big guy attempting kicks, that'll be fun to watch. That'll especially if he makes them, that'll end up on ESPN.
Yeah. So, really, anything else for college football? Again, it's just a great week. There's other really good games. The Big 12 has a couple really good games. Obviously, we've talked about the Big 10 already having 2 big ones. It's just every week matters. We're going to find out if UC Central Florida is for real. They travel to Kansas State. If Kansas State is continue to be, just a trash can fire, or are they maybe figured something out with the they've caught up with the travel. They had their bye week. Dylan Edwards is back. Just is it going to start getting back to closer to what we thought Kansas State would be? That's an interesting one in the Big 12 in my books, not because of what really happens in the game, just to see where the two teams are headed.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games. I mean, I think Notre Dame and Arkansas is interesting.
Yep.
Notre Dame's that I could see Arkansas winning that one, to be honest. And then just going back to your pick 'em pool that you did, I was hoping for a few more games, just because I like that. I like to have the Friday, of course, the early slate, afternoon, night, and then of course a late one.
Yeah.
Do you get to pick all the games?
I get to pick them.
Randomize it for you.
They kind of randomize them, but I get. So, like, the original game is, like, set for 10 games, and it gives you, like, the 10 best games in football. Well, I selected Big 10 and Big 12 because I wanted those games because those are the games that matter to us. So I chose that. So I get a little bit different games, and then I pick, like last week, what did I pick? Like 22 games?
Yeah,
and my one buddy's like, holy smokes, how many games did you pick? And so I think I picked 14 this week, so I didn't pick as many. Maybe I'll go back to more next week.
Well, my vote is for more because I like it. It gets me to pay attention to teams that I might not. And I understand the Big 10, the Big 12, because that's where most of our fan base is going to be. Those are the teams that we're paying attention to. So I'm good with more games, but I would say any game that you like that's maybe 10 points or less as far as the spread goes, I'm okay putting it in. But that's just one vote.
Been some of it too. Is there's a couple of games I'm kind of interested in, but they're a 14-point favorite, so it's like there's no real point in putting that game in there. However, I'm in a different one in that same type of thing. It's Travis and Ross, the Rush Radio. They're doing one as well, and that one you pick 10 games. But you can risk high or low. So like if you risk high and you pick the favorite, you get like 16 points for that game. Or if you lose it, you lose 12. And so actually last week in that one, I ended up with like minus 10 points because my high risk ones didn't turn out.
Yeah, I've done those before too. And I'm kind of kicking myself because I originally picked Stanford to beat Boston College in Stanford. That was a 14 or 17 point spread. And at the last minute I changed. I'm like, dang, I should have stuck with my gut on that one. Cause that would have been Boston College back-to-back road weeks. They went to Michigan State, had to go home and then travel all the way to Stanford. So I originally picked Stanford, but I changed my mind at the last second. I could have made up some ground on Zach and whoever's leading it. But I changed the last second.
I think Kyle's leading it. Yeah. All right. Last thing here, Ryder Cup week. It was Ryder Cup for us here in Oskaloosa. We'll talk about that first. Saturday at Oski Golf, Iowa City Elks, and then the Oskaloosa Elks. A few people golfing aren't members, but for the most part, of the 32 players, a vast, vast majority of them are Elks members. So that makes it fun. There's several former Oskaloosaans, Mike Foster, Vince Hargrave, a couple others that are members up there, grew up in Oskaloosa, live up in Coralville, Iowa City now area. So just always good to see those guys. I'm in chats with them, but it's good to see those guys.
Yeah, I'm definitely jealous. One of these years I'm going to come back and watch. It looks like a lot of fun. And that's good between Oski and Iowa City because, again, you've got people, Brett and you and Cody live in Oski, Zaxton Sigourney, and then, of course, Mike and Vince being in the Iowa City area. So when you rotate every year, there's places to stay the night at. Not everybody has to get like a hotel or something like that. So a pretty impressive win. And did I hear you went 3-0?
I did go 3-0. I played pretty good. I actually made some big putts, but everybody that knows me, golfing, putting is not my strong suit, but I actually putted pretty well on Saturday. So it worked. And I think it's because they finally picked a weekend that Iowa State was off. So I was actually like really happy to be there and everything instead of trying to watch the Iowa State game during it or whatever, because they always pick Iowa bye weeks, but they forget that Iowa State plays as well. I always give them crap about that, and they give me
Well,
crap.
they don't forget. They just do it on purpose.
Yeah, I know they do. Well, no, with it being the Iowa City Elks, they really don't have a choice. It has to be a weekend that Iowa doesn't play. There are people that are part of the university for different reasons, and then obviously most of them are fans and go to the game and have tailgates and stuff. And it's not like me where I'm driving 2 hours to do it. They live right there. It's probably even more ingrained in them. It's just part of their lives.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I saw did Musco bring out the big sign or TV screen or whatever that was?
Yep. Musco has a company that they work with, I believe, that has these signs, and friends of ours. We have really good friends at Musco. Tuna, Nick Smith is another one that if we ever need anything, we just call him as well. That give the sign is a scoreboard. It hooks up to a TV. We use it for golf tournaments. We hosted the state district final meet last fall, and Tuna brought it down for us. We used it down there at Tumble Country Club. We've used it for the lighted. Musco comes down and lights our golf course for a cross country meet, and that sign has been there before. It wasn't there this year, but it's been there before for that. I'm pretty sure Zach has used it for their conference golf meet there at Oski Golf. So it's just something, and I know they take it around, like when RVTV's in Albia or Oskaloosa or Knoxville, those type of things are on there. I can plug it into just a TV program or whatever, and like it had ESPN Game Day or Fox Noon Kickoff, whatever game we wanted to, it was on. And then we also were able to have our score live scoring up as well, so that was fun.
No, that's awesome. That makes it feel like an even bigger event when you've got everybody's names up there, the scores, you've got game day or other games on. Was there any crazy shots, any hole-in-ones, anybody have any surprising wins or beatdowns or anything?
No, I mean, it's pretty much par for the course. Iowa City has some really good top-end golfers. I think, how we won is the lower-end golfers, the bottom, 3, 4, 5 golfers played pretty well, and we're able to win a lot of those matches. But at the top, they've got some really good golfers. I believe some former Hawkeye golfers as well.
And the home team or the home course is still undefeated, correct?
Yep. The last year wasn't really a home one. It was at Williamsburg, which I wouldn't be opposed to having it there every year. It is kind of nice being right here in town. But Williamsburg's a really nice course. We rented it for a day or whatever however you want to call it. Because Iowa City had something at their course. They've been working on their course. They just built a new clubhouse, redid all their stuff, a pool. It's definitely much more of like a country club feel than just an Elks club, and because they have a pool, they have a golf course, and that's kind of what you're paying for is just like a country club setting. So I think they had something going on, so we had to go to Williamsburg. But the plan right now is to go back to Iowa City, I believe, next year.
Yeah, I follow their Elks golf course on Facebook, and I've seen all the updates that they've been doing. It looks awesome. I've played there, 4 or 5 times over the years because Vince living right by it. So it definitely looks nice. I'm looking forward to getting back up that way. But yeah, I do follow them, so I've seen all the improvements they've been making. It looks really good.
Yeah, just anybody that's ever played there knows it's a quirky little course. There's some shots you have no idea what to do, especially if you've not been there. You got a full horseshoe hole almost, and right against the water, and then a big drop off on a hole, and it's just interesting. You're crossing a road.
I think you got the par 5 that goes to a landing zone, then really downhill, followed by another par 5. And is it a big uphill par 3 after that, followed by the horseshoe hole? I think I'm kind of mapping it out in my mind because it's been a while.
Yep. Yeah, you come down the hill and then you go back up the hill on a par 3, and
then you end on 9 playing back toward the clubhouse. Is that a long par 3?
No, it's a drivable par 4.
Okay, 4. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while, but I kind of remember some of the holes. So no, that's good. Hopefully you guys keep that up and keep that going every year.
Yep, it's fun. Now let's talk Real Ryder Cup, USA versus Europe at Bethpage Black, one of the hardest courses in America. you and I could go play it for like $55, but I think you have to plan way ahead, and that's not our strength.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to make the trip out there to shoot 140 or 150. So,
that's
but
exactly
that
right.
price isn't bad though, for sure. I mean, that's whatever the price is pretty reasonable. I kind of forgotten about it. I wasn't real excited until the last couple of days. I've been seeing all this stuff on social media. Of course, is it Brindle Chambly or whatever on the Golf Channel? He came out and attacked Bryson again like he does. And then I saw Xander's interview. I think it was today. He goes, listen, this course and this environment's made for Bryson.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, this is going to be his Coliseum, basically. And he's like, when Bryson earns a point, it's almost going to feel extra. It's going to feel like a 1.25 or 1.5 points compared to everybody else because he's going to be having the crowd involved. So it sounds like Bryson.
And it's a New York crowd, so it's going to be loud and brash. And it's not
Bryson,
Midwest nice like when I was there 4 years ago, Whistling Straits. This isn't Midwest nice. This is East Coast brash.
Yeah, I saw Rory scold a shot, it looked like, over the green into the crowd, whether it was on purpose or not. But then the crowd started chanting USA. So it's going to be electric, and it's going to feed right into Bryson. I mean, hopefully, and I'm hoping too on when they do the singles, I hope they give us Bryson versus Rory.
Do you think, because it's supposed to be random, right?
Is it? I thought they pick some of the matchups, don't they?
Well, I don't know. I thought they put them in an envelope, and it's just kind of, they didn't put 1 through 10, and the other team puts 1 through 10 or 12, and then that's who it is. But do you think they really want it in the Ryder Cup? Because they already have the TV audience. They want it in a major, which they've had it. I mean, I'm not saying they haven't, but
I want to see Bryson versus Rory. So whether they pick it or it's randomized, I don't care. That's what everybody wants to see. I mean, obviously Scotty going against Rory would probably be, since Scotty's the best player, of course, but in a Ryder Cup atmosphere, given Bryson's driving power and aggressiveness, Bryson's going to be a roller coaster to watch. If he's on his game, I mean, he could take anybody down with the different angles he's going to take at the green.
Yeah, and it'd be back to, as we talked about last week, the U.S. Captain America, the USA did not pick him, Patrick Reed against Rory McIlroy, when they went back and forth, and it was awesome.
That's probably my favorite Ryder Cup of all time, when those guys went back and forth. Rory made
was that the day? Was he late that day, or was that one of the other days?
It might have been, but Rory made like a 50-foot putt, and then Reed had like a 25 or 30-foot putt from the fringe, I think, and made it right back on top of him and did the finger wave.
Yeah,
and then of course he hit some shots real close to the pin. So this is going to be Bryson's moment. I hope he plays well. I looked earlier; USA was -160 to win, which I was a little surprised.
Yeah, I thought with that money, I'm going to go Europe, because it's going to be, if you look player to player, Europe is better. I think we have too many new people.
That's kind of what most people I've heard are saying. Obviously, America's got the home course advantage. I haven't been watching enough. I'm sure they've shown it before, but I wonder what the record is for the home teams compared to the away.
It's a significant advantage,
and that explains why America's -160. I thought it'd be a little better than that. So I did see you could bet on both America and Europe what player scores the most points. So I might have a couple bets on that for both sides. I'm probably not going to bet the winner, at least not USA, because I don't feel like laying -160 money for any of that. So I'll probably have some prop bets, like I said, what player for each side scores the most points, and see if I can find some others, because it's going to be a busy weekend. Friday with the Ryder Cup, I'll be invested in that. Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be kind of back and forth with college and NFL.
Yeah, my plan right now is to get YouTube TV on my phone, so I can watch the Ryder Cup in the plane, because it will start like at 8:00, and I'll be in the plane. So, you ever been to Philadelphia's airport, Trev?
Nope, I've not been to that one.
All right, that's where I'm headed first. So I don't know anybody that's ever been to Philadelphia's airport. It's kind of weird that Des Moines flies to Philadelphia, in my opinion, but that's where I'm going.
And then where's your final stop?
Burlington, Vermont.
Burlington. Okay, well, I haven't been to that one either, so.
That one makes sense. That's a small town. You're not going there unless you're going to Vermont.
Right. But yeah, no, I've never been to Philly. I've been to a lot of airports over the years. Philly's not one, though.
All right. All right. Well, thanks, Trev. And thank you. 36 people still watching. Thank you very much. Please rate, review, subscribe at anywhere. Most importantly, if you can go on YouTube and like and subscribe this video, that really does help us out a lot. We do enjoy bringing this to you every week. We want to thank Steve Shetler. Hundreds of people watch it every week on Steve Shetler. I don't look every week, but every time I look, it's always several hundred. I've even seen upwards of 1,000. So thank you very, very much, Steve Shetler, and all the people that tune into that as well. That is 7:00 usually on Thursday. Sometimes it's 8. I know right now there's some football games going on sometimes, and volleyball, and Steve does a great job with the local sports and local news, doing his private thing there after not being on the radio here anymore at KBOE.
Yeah, thanks everybody to listening, watching. Thanks to Steve, and it's going to be Friday through Sunday. It's going to be, and Monday with Monday Night Football. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully most people don't have weddings and other stuff to go to, and they can camp out in front of the TV.
Yep, I'll do the best I can, but it's not too bad. It's my brother, and then also I think Vermont's supposed to be pretty good to walk around and look at this time of year.
I bet it will be. Take lots of pictures, send snaps, and hopefully have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks a lot, Trev. We'll talk next week.
Have a good one.